Hello, everyone. This is Juan Gonzalez. You know me as a lender for Commercial Bank of Texas, and I am also part of the Entrepreneurship Committee for the Nacogdoches Economic Development Corporation. And the person next to me needs no introduction. She's well known in the Nacogdoches community. This is Amy. Amy, thank you so much for being a part of this video. I could say many things about you, but I'm going to let you introduce yourself to our viewership. Tell the audience about yourself, Amy.
Great. I'm Amy Mahaffey, and I own Small Town Socials. We are a full-scale marketing agency here in Nacogdoches, and we work with small businesses locally and outside of the area to help them promote their businesses in the best way possible.
There you go. She summarized it very well in those few sentences. Amy, thank you again for being part of this video series. We wanted to get you involved in this project because you do quite well in helping businesses market their business, right? And I feel that there's so many questions I can ask you, but over the next few minutes, we'll particularly talk about marketing.
Okay.
So if someone wants to start a business, Amy, what would you recommend as far as how to market their business?
I also teach marketing at SFA, and so this is a great place to start because we often think of marketing as like the end goal of the thing that everybody sees and the commercials, social media, billboards, all that good stuff. But marketing is all about what we call the 4 Ps, right? So the product itself, where we're selling the product, the place, the price of the product, and then the promotion. That promotion piece that we all know comes at the end.
Right.
And so for people starting a business, I think it's really important to think about how you're positioning yourself in the market, as we call it. So if you think about your target audience and like what their needs are and how you're going to fill that need, making sure that you've looked at your competitors, you've really thought about how you fit into the landscape, because there's most of the time somebody kind of already doing what you're doing and your plan is to do it better.
Right.
So how are you going to make that work, and how are you going to convey that to people?
Right. How are you going to set yourself apart from everyone else, right?
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
What about social media?
Okay. Social media.
Yeah. Talk about that.
That is one that's the natural place people go. We often are users in a personal way. We have a Facebook page and we share photos with friends, things like that. You see new platforms come out over the years. So Facebook is a big one. We hear a lot about Instagram, TikTok, a lot of these huge platforms that are really powerful. People can get very easily overwhelmed. They think, I have to post on Facebook, I have to post on here, I have to learn all these platforms. It's very overwhelming. And it always goes back to those 4 Ps. Like, am I meeting the people in my target market in the right place? Am I talking to them in a way that makes sense?
Right.
And so there's different audiences that are active on different platforms, and it's all about making a strategic choice and deciding where do I need to be, and let me pour my effort and do that one thing really well instead of trying to be on all the different places.
Kind of spread yourself too thin, right?
Yes, and it can become overwhelming because it's time consuming.
Right.
And when you're trying to run a business or start a business, that's one more thing you have to do. And so really focusing in on what makes sense for you is really the best place to start.
Right. And oftentimes business owners or creators of videos think the higher the viewership, the more success. But that's not always necessary, right? I mean, it's about quality, quantity. What are your thoughts on that?
I had this conversation with a client yesterday. We talked about you aren't going to be everything to everyone. You're not going to get 15,000 followers who are going to buy your product in Nacogdoches. You need 200 or 300 of your people, the people in your tribe, your niche. Those are more valuable to me than a huge following.
Right.
Sure, is a lot of views better and it gets you more exposure? Absolutely. But I kind of position social media, if people can rethink the way they think about it, it's a long game. It takes time. It's a consistent effort, kind of like weight loss, right? You have to be slow and steady and kind of work at it all the time. It's not an overnight thing.
Right.
And that makes it more dependable. That makes your brand more reliable, and people understand who you are if they hear from you often. But it doesn't have to be something that people get overwhelmed with or think they have to post every single day and have the most hits in order to be successful. That's not the case.
Right. And you also mentioned overnight success,
Yeah.
right? Most people have that misconception, right? That, if I do this overnight, I'll be successful.
Yes.
But you and I both know it's not the case.
No, it's just like building a relationship. You have a two-way conversation, and that's what social media is. It's a two-way
Right.
conversation, and you're not going to become best friends with somebody overnight.
Right.
You're not going to find all of your followers overnight. It's the same kind of thing. And so really thinking about it as a long game, running a marathon, not a sprint.
Right.
And building those relationships with your people,
Right.
your followers who are in your target market is the key.
Target market.
Yes.
Okay, so Nacogdoches, different market obviously than Dallas, Houston. As a business owner, how should they approach marketing if they have a plan to go into those markets?
Into a larger market?
Yeah.
Your landscape is different. In Nacogdoches, you may have fewer competitors. They may all be really good at what they do and have a lot of loyal customers, and you're entering that market as a competitor. So that's a different set of challenges than entering a Dallas or Houston market. In that situation, you obviously have more people on your side. There's a little less brand loyalty, so that's almost better for a new business because
Right.
they don't have people. I've done business with them for 20 years. It's not as much of that. And I think it's just a different set of conditions. You just
Right.
have to think about how you fit into that market just like you would fit in here.
Okay, fair enough. One more question, Amy.
Sure.
So we talk about using social media tools. Tell us why business owners should not underestimate the power and the value of personal interaction,
Sure.
right?
I like to equate this to a phone call. So when somebody calls your business, you answer the phone. It's very similar on social media. So when people say, well, should I answer comments or should I respond? Or should I post things? How does this work? I kind of put it in that context. That helps because I always say you're not going to hang up the phone on somebody if they're
Right.
calling your
Okay.
business. So
Right.
the same idea is if you start a conversation on social media or if someone starts one with you,
Right.
being responsive. I think we can all relate to you don't always comment on things, but you read them. And so for every one person asking a question, there's probably more reading that and looking to see
Right.
what your response is.
Right.
And so when we think about consistency, posting to social media, being active on a platform,
Right.
it's much like greeting somebody when they walk in the door or picking up the phone when someone calls. So the personal aspect feels a little different on social,
Right.
but it's still a conversation.
Right.
So
right.
all of those things about being polite, being friendly,
Yeah.
everything you would do in normal life, they
Right.
apply online too.
Yeah. And don't jump over the person to person
Sure.
communication at the office, like what we're doing here.
Right.
Right? That's also very important.
Especially in a new business. People want to know you.
Right.
You are the business and you are your story, and that can be challenging for people because they don't want to be in the limelight, and I
Right.
get it. But you are the blood, sweat, tears that have gone into your product or whatever you've built. And so being the face, although that's sometimes a challenge and kind of
Right.
hard and out of your norm, is really important because people are buying your product, but they're also investing in you.
Right. I said it was the last question, but
That's okay.
this
Keep
is
going.
the last question. Okay. Okay, so someone starting out.
Yes.
Finish strong here, Amy.
Okay.
Marketing. How will you summarize marketing to that new wave of business owners that are coming up in our community?
As in what they need to do when they're starting.
Absolutely.
I think it's just important to have a plan that makes sense for you in something that you can tangibly do consistently, and then stick with it.
Stick with it.
It's very common for new business owners to say, well, I tried this for a few weeks and it didn't work. Let me try something else. And so the idea is stick with something, give it time to work. And then if it's not working, then you can say, no, I gave it a chance.
Right.
And I need to tweak what I'm saying, or I need
Right,
to tweak
right.
how I'm saying it,
Right.
or I need to change my pictures, or try a different platform, whatever the thing
Right,
may be.
right.
But if you don't stick with something long enough to give it time to work, then you won't really know what you're diagnosing. So
Right.
if you keep it really simple, don't overcomplicate it.
Right.
Ask questions, use your resources. You
Right.
have places like NEDCO, the Chamber of Commerce,
Right.
all these awesome resources in this community. Other business owners encourage business owners.
Right.
So finding who those people are in your little village
Right.
is key so that you can not feel so alone. Being a business owner is kind of
Right.
lonely sometimes. And so figuring out who those people are for you is so important. All goes back to relationships.
Right. Guys, you're hearing it from Amy herself directly. Relationships, keep it simple, and use your resources. What a great community that we live in, that there are so many resources available.
Absolutely.
You mentioned the chamber, Netco, SFA.
SFA
right?
has a small business center. They have an entrepreneurship center, whole marketing department just waiting to help people get going. So yeah.
Right. And guys, I'll say this, so much help here in Nacogdoches that often the help overlaps one another.
Absolutely. Which is great.
Absolutely. It's a great thing to have, right?
Yes.
Guys, I feel like I can ask more and more questions to Amy. But for now, what we want to finish up with is, if you want to talk to Amy directly, if you want to talk about entrepreneurship, if you want to find a place to get all these resources, please come to the Business Resource Fair that we're going to have at the beginning of May. We're going to have more information down in the description of the video. So please utilize all this help that is available right here on our community. Amy, thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you.
I wish you continued success, and we'll be seeing you guys there at the Business Resource Fair.
I can't wait. Come see me.